Welcome back. You're listening to Triple G and this is WAC. I'm Molly Matthews.
And I'm Raffy here, filling in for Tim Tully this week.
Over the weekend, the Minister for Education announced new plans to revamp our curriculum, stating that ICT is the answer to raising the performance for all students.
But this raises a few questions like, how exactly do we measure the performance of all students? And what about students from remote areas or lower socioeconomic backgrounds? Here to discuss this, we have our Minister for Education, Jasmin, and a Senior Lecturer at Macquarie University, Jordan.
Hi. So, Minister, you've said that ICT is the answer to raising student performance. How would you define student performance and what are the current issues relating to student performance in Australia?
Yes, so the achievement of Australian students is assessed through a nationwide testing, for example, NAPLAN. And from these results, we can see that the quality of our children's education is increasingly falling behind the rest of the world. Our PISA ranking is dropping dramatically, which is leaving Australia behind compared to other nations such as Finland and South Korea.
So the data shows that Australian students are falling behind. But it doesn't seem fair to assess student performance solely on the standardised tests. Jordan, as a professor of education, you're preparing the next generation of teachers in this country. Do you think that the standard is dropping?
Look, as an educator, I can tell you that performance is definitely more than just results and standardised testing. A major part of preparing our youths for their futures is realising their own potentials and ensuring that our classrooms are inclusive. Myself and other researchers believe that it's just not fair on students to reduce them to a number and assess their worth through standardised tests.
I think that is so true, and so often this aspect of education is neglected. Students should be treated as individuals and not just a number. Moving on, Minister, what kind of impact do you see ICT having in our schools?
Yes, so technology is becoming more and more unavoidable in the classroom. We need to be more adoptive as a nation to ensure that our kids are having the access to the very best of technology, which will help with their education in the classroom.
So is technology the solution to the problem then? Do you mean that we simply aren't ready to be this advanced yet? Or is there more to this? It kind of sounds like computers are eventually going to make teachers obsolete.
Well, you know, not all schools have the same access to technology as others, and research has shown that students really learn best through the guidance of a role model like a teacher. So a teacher definitely can't be replaced by a computer, and you know, we need to consider remote areas that don't have sufficient access to these resources, or even lower socioeconomic schools that don't have the same funding. They don't have access to those resources.
I think that's such an excellent point as well. Incorporating ICT would be most beneficial to the top schools. Minister, do you have a plan to bridge this gap?
So we will be allocating funding equally between schools. So they all have, equal access to technology in the classrooms through computers, advanced software and other forms of digital media. Online tools and guidelines are being made available to the teachers just to help streamline the ongoing transition to an ICT incorporated curriculum.
I'd just like to point out that you mentioned that equal funding is going to be given, and I think that's a really dangerous concept. Giving all schools the same funding is only going to further a gap in education, especially considering the programs that some schools already have in place. They already have elaborate and extensive technological programs, so I think that's something to consider.
Jared from Lightning Ridge just tweeted in rural Australia. Previous national policies have promised to help people living rurally to access quality ICT, but I've yet to see it happen. Why is this?
Yeah, well, recurring evidence has shown that achieving quality ICT exposure to students in remote areas is really difficult. There's a distinct lack of technology available in these areas, and the resources that are available to them are often really unreliable. Internet access is a big issue, and you know, when there are technological issues, getting help for that can take weeks, if not months, to get that really expert help. So there's definitely some things to be pad out there.
Yeah, I think that these are all really important issues. Coming back to ICT being the answer to raising student performance, I think we can all agree that it's definitely a pathway to enhance our students' learning.
Yeah, definitely. There seems to be a lot of debate on this issue, but fair access to education needs to be a top priority to answering this.
Clearly, this issue has a long way to go. Thank you to the Minister for Education and Jordan for clarifying this with us tonight on WAC.